welcome to 2013. You know, 2012 passed by really fast, and unfortunately it was so fast that I didn't get to my 60 book goal. I think I only got around like 40 or 41 books read, but regardless, I am not giving up on that 60 book goal, and I'm going to try and reach it this year. To start the year off right, I've read 2 books so far. The first of which is a Doctor Who book, The Ghosts of India by Mark Morris. I have to say, that book was infinitely better than the first Doctor Who book I read. Sorry to Matt Smith, but the way this book was written, it was spot on. Like, you have Donna's character and the 10th Doctor, and it was just amazing. Like, it was written so well. You had every bit of insanity from the Doctor and strong-headedness from Donna. Like, it was awesome. They were on a little journey. Donna's like, I'm kind of hungry. I could go for curry. And they end up in India. They're supposed to be there in 1940 something. I think 47. And then they end up there in 1937 instead, when there's a big old civil war happening. And from there, the excitement spans. It starts off with a mysterious bright light coming from the sky, going down, down, down into a temple, and a boy saw it. He normally sleeps in that temple just to get away from the refugee camp, because it's a lot of hustle and bustle there, and he just kind of ignores the monkeys on his way there and sleeps in the temple. But this one particular night, there's crazy light. He sees the infinitely terrifying god Shiva and blacks out, doesn't remember a thing. And then from there, strange things start happening. People start getting crazy black lumps on them and start going insane and trying to kill everybody, and then all of a sudden, bleh, die. So yeah, that's not a good thing to be happening. And the Doctor shows up in the midst of a big old riot. He almost loses Donna, but in the end, they get back together, obviously, and there's a whole lot of adventure in between. These Chalkmen, which are Galam warriors, who do the dirty work for the Jalkarath, which is an interesting species. And the way Mark Morris describes them in the book, it's really cool. Like, they're completely intricately intertwined into their ship. And I'm not going to tell you much more about that, because there's a few surprises about them too. People are not who you think they are. A lot of excitement that goes in this book. The Doctor is obviously brilliant. Donna is pretty good too in this book. I come to the conclusion that she is my favorite companion, because all the other companions tend to fall in love with the Doctor. And it's kind of annoying. Like, yes, I love Rose, because she's the first one I've seen. And my middle name is Rose, so I like Rose. But after reading this book, I really, really love Donna. Just her snarkiness, her passion, her stubborn head, and awesomeness. So yeah. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that book. There's a lot of awesome in it, and people who have not read Doctor Who books, give it a go, because they're awesome. And I suggest you start with The Ghosts of India, because it's a good book. The next book I read, Don't Be Haters, Stephanie Meyer book, The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner. A little side story from Eclipse. If you're a Twilight fan, you'll love it. If you're a Twilight hater, you still might like this book, because it's all about Bree. She's that one at the end of Eclipse where she's surrendered, she doesn't want to fight, and the Volturi end up killing her anyway. This tells the whole story of how she became a new vampire, what she came from, how Riley tricked her and tricked the entire army into believing that they're fighting for a good cause. And the most interesting part is that sunlight will kill them dead, like just boom, flames. So that's cool. And if you've read the series, you know that newborn vampires are unruly, hard to handle, insane, and all aggressive and bloodlust and rip each other apart. Speaking of rip each other apart, I kind of like the way Stephanie Meyer tells you how they put themselves back together. I don't know if this was applicable in any of the other books. I don't think it was. But yeah, they could use their venom, so lick the area that's wounded, and just stick it back on. Like, really? That was kind of weird. The actual story itself is kind of cool. Where in the opening, Bree is hunting, and the hunt just kind of goes all wrong, and one guy's climbing a wall, another guy is being Hulk and smashing a car because they're talking about the favorite superheroes. And then Diego steps in and just kind of saves Bree from the insanity. And Diego is an older vampire. He's been a vampire for almost a year. So he knows all about it. He kind of takes Bree under his wing. They actually have good conversations, and when they're together, she keeps her head clear. And that's super hard for a newborn vampire. And the intertwining dynamic relationship of those two, I kind of like. So yeah, in the end, we all know what happens. Like, they go off to that battle. But everything that happens before that is actually really interesting. And I think this itty bitty little book was infinitely more interesting than any of the 4 books of the Twilight Saga. So don't hate me, but whatever, that's my opinion. And yeah, I did like this book. It had its what the crap moments, but overall I liked the book. And I liked it better than any of the 4 books, like Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. But yeah. So if you like Twilight, read it. If you didn't like Twilight, and you're curious what I'm talking about, read it. Either way, you can't form an opinion until you read it. So with that, I'm going to try and finish The Memory Keeper's Daughter. It's a book my sister gave me, so we'll see how it goes. This is my 3rd book of 2013. Woo! Anyway, keep reading and stay awesome, and bye! Gallum warriors, who are they collecting for?